Well, you talking about before World War?
Yeah.
It was a typical kid's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had a, good time. I played with my sister and brother, and so never thinking that anything was going to happen that's going to change that. So until 1941, I guess. Well, the first thing that happened was my father was picked up the day after Pearl Harbor, and they took him away, and we got to see him a couple months later. And then they sent him to a camp in Montana. And these were the men that were leaders of the Japanese communities. That every town had a Japanese community out there on the coast. So then in May of 1942, May 20th, that was when the rest of the whole family were evacuated. And it certainly was a disruption in our lives. My mom and uncle and aunt and them had a farm, and unfortunately they had planted all those crops, and they took us away before they could harvest them. So they had to sell the crops in the ground to some guy that came through and said he's going to buy all the crops for next to nothing. And of course he made a fortune maybe, but mom and dad and uncles didn't make much in it at all. So we were in camp. Well, for me, I was 13. My brother was 11. My older sister was 14. And then Ruli was three years old. My brother and I got in camp, got a lot of other guys our age. We just had a ball. I mean, didn't have to do any work, just had to get up, go eat breakfast, and come back and eat lunch, and then go back and eat supper, I guess, and then go back in the barracks, sleep at night. My dad did not like that. He figured at our age we'd get in a lot of trouble. So we were having. Yeah, they picked him up right away, and he was separated from us until I think it was the middle of summer, around June or something. That they had a trial in Montana for all these guys, and of course they're all found innocent of sabotage and all that kind of stuff. We went to. Dad moved us out. I mean, he had a chance. People were looking for laborers, and especially the sugar beet fields, which was all hand labor at that time. And this guy came in, they wanted families. So that my dad thought that was a good time, opportunity. Of all places, Chinook, Montana. Cold. But we went out there to harvest sugar beets.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the harvest, Dad decided to stay there instead of go back to camp. Well, not so much amongst kids. I mean, my kids my age and stuff, we get along fine. There's always one or two that kind of nasty, but it was the parents that were where you had problems. It was only after I got, I think I was out of the service and I was probably halfway through my college career that my basketball coach told me why I never got to play basketball for the high school team. Because I always thought I wasn't the best, but I was better than a lot of them that were on the team. And he said that was because you could play for the junior varsity, but not the varsity because of your race. Too many parents objected.
School.
Well, let's put it this way. Ray was my older sister, was a sophomore when she went into high school there at Chinook. She had finished her freshman year in Bellevue, Washington before the war. Well, before we were evacuated. Her grades were so, I hate to say this, A pluses. My folks and my uncle would give $1 to the best report card, and she got it every darn time. But anyway, she and her best friend, she was a nice gal, she and her chummed around together. But Ray's grades were so much superior to Hazel. Hazel was selected as a valedictorian. And she told Ray, I'm embarrassed. You should be the valedictorian. But they wouldn't give it to her. The reason they said was that she wasn't there at Chinook High School for 4 years. But we all know what the real reason was.
Yeah.
Well, I've always got in the back of my mind that even though you think it's going smoothly, that some episode would happen that could change it quickly. And people's opinions, and it could change dramatically. And so I've always tried to meet anybody I met halfway or more, trying to get along, be friendly. And of course, there's always some that did not respond too well. So I found out that it's best that I just forget about them. Don't worry about it. Just because there's plenty of good people out there, and that's probably one thing I took away from World War II.